Hi, I'm Bizit Chaya, and 10 years ago, I came across DBT Path at a time when I had been um, just a total wreck for almost 20 years. I had lost my marriage, I had lost contact with my family, I had burned basically every bridge in my life. I couldn't work because I was so sensitive at work that I was crying all the time, and I had been put on a probation. Um, Everything in my life was falling apart, and I really did not want to keep being here. I thought pretty daily about not staying in this life. And I once described it as feeling like I was burning from the inside out. And the thing that really pushed me over the edge was that in the divorce process, my custody of my then 2-year-old was being threatened. And that was the one thing that I really, really cared so much about was being a parent. And at this very dark time, I had access to a DBT class in person through my local like behavioral health services. And I had to go back to work once the divorce settled. And so I couldn't keep attending that in-person class. And I was pretty desperate because after a few months of being exposed to DBT, I experienced moments where I was not suicidal for the first time in my life since being a teenager. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I was terrified, honestly. And by the grace of the internet and Debbie, I was able to come across the first ever online DBT class, DBT Path. And that was 10 years ago. And DBT Path, I think, has only been around for maybe 11. So I was maybe one of the first within the first year. And I cannot tell you, Debbie knows this. I will tell her forever. She saved my life. And this class is DBT, which is life saving in and of itself, but it's more than DBT. First and foremost, because of Debbie. Debbie is a person who has been through the lived experience of uh, enduring a world that is too difficult and losing every relationship, despite trying so hard and having everything just burn down around you, even though you've done everything you can think of and just being so in the thick of it. She did receive a borderline diagnosis like I had. Um, she's experienced a ton of trauma like I have, and she's lived in constant invalidating environments like I have. And so she's not teaching it from the perspective of a therapist who's like, well, your life is a mess, so you need to fix your life. She's teaching it from, I know how painful this is. And through her own personal DBT journey, she was able to um, no longer fit the criteria for a BPD diagnosis. And that also happened to me through DPT and through Debbie's love and the community's love. And so she shares it not from there's something wrong with you and you need to fix it so that you can be, more acceptable. She teaches it from the perspective of, I've lived with this pain and I know that there is a life that's possible that is less painful, and I want to share it with you if that's something that's meaningful to you. And so her ability to do that with more compassion and validation and thoughtfulness and care than I've ever come across from any other person on this planet. And I'm not exaggerating. She knows that I love her so much. Um, it's extraordinary. It's otherworldly. And I recommend DBT path to every person I know. You don't have to be on the extreme end of things. I wish every pregnant person would get DBT because then we would have it like go into the lives of the little babies that would come out of them, and everyone on the planet would have this information. If everyone on the planet had this information, I think we would have a very different planet. Um, and living in the current reality, there is so much pain and confusion and uncertainty. And DBT is perfect for that because DBT doesn't teach you how to make everything work out perfectly. It teaches you how to have a life that is worth living, that's meaningful to you, that is supportive of your values and your relationships and your goals, even when everything's not working out. So it doesn't teach you how to have a successful life, which is temporary and sometimes not possible, right? It teaches you how to have a life worth living no matter what's happening, so that we can ride the waves of this storm of life that is never endingly uncertain, especially in these times. So, um, if there is any doubt, I would so recommend that you go listen to other testimonials. It is an extraordinary experience just to learn the DBT material from someone who has lived experience. But there's also the DBT path has grown tremendously in the past 10 years to now become what I really consider one of the most like wraparound community type care. Not only does Debbie present the DBT information, the basics of DBT information, there's also a ton of neuroscience that she includes because that's something that she's had extra training in. There's a therapist, Catherine Holt, that works with her, and another therapist who both bring in that like clinical perspective. So there's always that there as well. There's a somatics teacher who offers a somatics class, like body work class, twice a month. They have all of this is included in the class. They have a beautiful community that has like is open for people to check in and share comments or questions or homework submissions, and then there's a response to every homework submission that is like so incredibly thoughtful and thorough. So you get a ton of support there. It is not just a set of videos. There's also wise mind workshops. There's tons of opportunities to be involved throughout the week so that it's not just that one time a week during your DBT class that you get to connect with the people and the material. You get to connect with it multiple times a week, which really is so helpful for when you're in the thick of it. And it's so easy to lose track of the concepts or the material. Um, Debbie has such integrity around it. I just, I don't know how to say it any more than it's life changing and like life affirming. So especially for those of us that question like, should I be on the planet? Is it okay for me to be on the planet? What does it mean for me to be on a planet? Um, those questions get really meaningful answers in DBT because there's this, it's not just the cognitive behavioral therapy, it's also the Zen Buddhism. So there's a bigger perspective that is held and supported, which is something that I find super, super valuable in this very wild world that we live in. So I so encourage you to connect with DBT Path. If you want to learn more about yourself, learn more about your relationships, learn more about how to take really good care of your nervous system, so that you can act in a way that supports your values and your goals rather than living in reactivity, which is what most of us end up doing, because we haven't been taught the basic skills of how to take care of this body, how to take care of this mind, how to create a really meaningful life for ourselves. So if you feel confused by life, overwhelmed by life, exhausted of trying so hard and not being able to make any changes, or just like a puddle on the ground of hopelessness, I so encourage you to try DBT Path. Lots of love.